Eric B's Daily Vlogs.
All right, guys, we're going to bring her in right now and share again from
the Daily Podcast with Eric B.
Easter Sunday. Again, she's done a lot of other movies, a lot of TV shows other than Easter Sunday. She's on a show that I actually watch, Call Me Kat. She was on that. This Is Us. This Is Us. It's one of those movies where a few TV shows, it was kind of a tearjerker. So I kind of like that show. But let's go ahead and bring her in right now. We have Melody from Easter Sunday. Miss Melody, how are you?
Like to attempt my last name.
No, I looked. I was practicing it all day today.
It's not hard. It's just Butiu.
See, and I was saying, like, is it Butiu? Is it Butiu? I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. I'm sorry.
It's totally fine.
I was like, Melody. Wait, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm not gonna do it.
That's how the teachers would take roll at my school. They'd say the first and last name, then they get to my name, and they're like, Melody.
Oh, so you're used to it, right?
I am, but it's only 5 letters. It's not that hard.
It's one of the hardest. It's funny because when we spoke last week, and I said, "Are you Filipino?" You said, "Yeah," and I said, "Well, God, I can't get that Filipino name in my head." And it just shows you that there's so many Filipinos out there that we're not used to hearing and seeing the full range of Filipinos that we have. We're used to the Gonzaleses. We're used to all this. My last name is Balanag, and that's, a not common last name for Filipinos. I call it very ethnic. But when I saw your name, I'm like, wait a minute. What is this last name? Where is she from?
I know. And it's like, my brother met someone Jamaican with the same last name, and then my dad met someone French with the same last name. Yeah. So I don't know. It's from all over the place.
It could be French. I mean, the way you said it sounds French.
Yeah.
So
what's funny is my brother pronounces it differently. So when I tell people how to pronounce my name, I say it's like Butiu, like I boot you across the room.
Okay.
And when my brother says it, he says Butiu. So he says, if you can say choo-choo, you can say Butiu. So he aligns it really, really fast. But,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We just agree on how to say our last name.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Melody, thank you for jumping on. Thank you for being on with me. I know you're a busy person. You have a lot of things going on work-wise, but thank you for your group, for keeping us, updated and all the things. I know we pushed this off a couple weeks, and it's just everything's been busy. I do, like I told you, I work a 9 to 5. But go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know who's watching, who you are, and just give them that update.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm Melody Butiu. I am an actor and singer, and I play Tita Yvonne in Easter Sunday, which is still out in some theaters, but is actually out on demand now, starring Joe Coy. And I grew up, I was born in New York, raised in Washington State, Eastern Washington,
Nice.
and then high school in California, in the Los Angeles area. I went to school in San Diego, UC San Diego, for my undergrad and graduate school. I got my master's there. And I've been working ever since.
Nice.
I do a lot of theater. I do plays, I do musical theater, I do new works, and then I do TV and now film. And Easter Sunday is, one of the biggest projects that I've been involved with, as far as film is concerned.
Nice.
That's me in a nutshell.
So, question that I always ask everyone: what got you into acting? I mean, we're very stereotypical Filipinos, where our parents either wants us doing some kind of medical work, or engineer, or you're doing something. But what you took something different. You said, you know what, I want to get into acting. So what got you into acting, and who inspired you?
I started primarily in high school. I mean, I've always loved singing. as a lot of Filipinos do. But my parents, so I grew up with a lot of music in the house. My mom sang, my dad sang, my dad would come back from trips from the Philippines with the -1,
Of course.
and the little karaoke tapes and things like that. So I grew up loving to sing. But then when I was in high school, I saw a production of Sweeney Todd,
Yes.
the Stephen Sondheim musical,
Yeah.
and the high school that I attended in Chatsworth had a really, really great drama program.
Nice.
And when I was a sophomore, I was in the choirs, but then I saw this production. I was like blown away by the production, by the performances, and I had an opportunity to take a drama class. So I started doing that. I started doing musical theater. I did Little Shop of Horrors, Jesus Christ Superstar when I was in high school, and even with outside programs, I did musicals as well. And then when I was in college, I joined this Asian American theater company called Here and Now,
Okay.
which I've seen them perform when I was at UCSD my freshman year. They came and performed, and they did a lot of all original material, sketches, scenes, and it was an all Asian American cast. And I just remember thinking, oh, this is so cool. They get to tell their stories, and they're performing all the roles, and it's really awesome. And they happen to be rehearsing in Pasadena at Occidental College,
Wow.
which is where I was spending my summer. So, because my brother was living there at the time, and I, stayed with him over the summer, and so I just started working with them. I auditioned and started working with them, and that's where I kind of got a real bug of the storytelling apart from musical theater, writing, creating, performing for audiences all over the country, and we would perform. In colleges and universities around the country. So we would rehearse on the weekends. So once the school year started up again, I started with them in the summer. And then once the school year started, we would drive up to LA to rehearse on the weekends, and then go back and do our school during the week, because we had students from all over Southern California, everywhere from UC San Diego all the way up to UC Santa Barbara, USC, UCLA, students from everywhere participating in this theater company. And then we would travel on the weekends. So that's where I really kind of got my inspiration for just wanting to pursue acting as a career, that really inspired my love of storytelling, of connecting, and also of telling our stories.
Yes.
That's kind of how I got into it.
This, you guys are watching, Melody has a page. Follow her there. You can follow her link there. You can follow her also on Instagram. The Instagram is where you can find that her website. Your website's pretty. I was reading it today. I read it a few days ago as well, and I was reading it today. There's just a lot of things on there. You had that just touches on us Filipinos and the Filipino community. We'll get on Easter Sunday in a minute. A lot of people is like, oh yeah, ask her this. I was like, we'll get on that in a minute. But how tough was it for you, like trying to get into acting, but at the same time not playing the role that, of course we're Filipino, but if you're given a role like, oh, Melody, we want you to be, Chinese, or we want you to be Hispanic,
Yeah.
you took whatever role was given, correct? Or was offered?
I did.
Yeah.
And when I had first started working professionally, I had agents and managers tell me, don't expect to be cast as Filipinos, because people don't know what that is. Middle America, they don't know even where the Philippines are, And I'm like, we've been here for generations.
Forever.
We've been here for so long. And, but that was their take on it. And it was that, you might go out for, other Asian roles, or you might consider changing your name. You might want to learn Spanish, because then there more opportunities for you to play Latino roles, and it was very discouraging, but I didn't know what else to do. Like, I didn't know what else to do. Like, I'm like, well, I can only be me. And yes, I do believe that, Asians, depending on the story and depending on, I think it's great to have opportunities to play other ethnicities. There are, certainly similarities across the kind of Pan-Asian spectrum.
Yeah.
And, there are other things that we don't understand. There are other things where we have to kind of use our imagination or do our research, and whether it comes to accent work or research as to the history and things like that in creating a character. But then sometimes you would have opportunities to play. I did a play called The Intelligent Design of Jenny Chow. I originated the role.
Saw that, yeah.
I did the world premiere of that, and that was a play by Roland Jones, and the character that I played was Chinese American.
Okay.
And so she's a Valley girl, and she's a computer mechanical genius that also suffered from OCD and agoraphobia. And so she decides to build a flying robot version of herself to fly to China and find her biological mother. So it was like this crazy, outlandish kind of roller coaster of a play. But the character herself, even though she's a Chinese adoptee, she's American.
Yes.
And she's a Valley girl, and I was totally a Valley girl.
You grew up in LA, yeah, so you have to be a Valley girl in LA, right?
Say that again?
So you have to be a Valley girl living in LA, right?
It just depends on where you are, but I was in Canoga Park, and I went to Chatsworth High School, and we moved from Seattle. So I had my freshman year in Seattle, and then we moved when I was a sophomore. And man, I picked up that Valley Girl accent so fast. Like, my friends just had that accent and that lingo and the jargon, and I picked it up so fast that when I would visit my friends in Seattle, they were like, "What is wrong with your voice?"
What did
like, oh my God, I don't even know what you're talking about. I sound perfectly fine.
And it's funny because a lot of people don't realize. I mean, I think the kids these days don't even know, what's a Valley accent? What is that? Where's that from? But yeah, that accent is really, it's real. I mean,
It was very regional, but it was also of an era.
Yeah,
so I think it's the prominence of it has certainly died down from what it was in the 80s, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are. But it's cool though, because it tells a story of who you are and where you're from. I mean, you go back to Seattle and your friends are there, like, Melody, what happened to you? It's kind of like that story, a lot of Filipinos, when we visit Hawaii for a week and we come back and we're trying to speak Pidgin, right? It's like, oh, you should have seen the vacation I just had. It's like, dude, you were just there for a week. What happened?
I know. It's like when people study abroad and they come back with like a British accent or something like that.
You just went down the coastline into, a couple states over. But that's cool. And it's funny because you mentioned you're from Washington, and Joe Coy is also from Tacoma, right? That's where he originated. We didn't realize that there was a lot of Filipinos in Washington. Joe Coy made it a little, made it known there was a lot of Filipinos there. And when you hear Filipinos in Washington, you think Seattle, big city. But when you hear little cities like Tacoma, it's like, wait a minute, Tacoma's like in the middle of nothing. And there's Filipinos there? Like, how do we get there?
Tacoma is still a pretty big city. It's just in comparison to Seattle, maybe not. But it's, maybe like an hour away? Like an hour south of Seattle?
Yeah.
But it was still a pretty, good-sized city. It certainly wasn't the sticks. They had, like, the Tacoma Dome. It's a pretty metropolitan area. We lived in Tukwila, so it was just south of Seattle, near like the South Center Mall and stuff like that. And my sister's still up there. She's there with her husband and my nephew. They're in Burien now. And then I still, keep in touch with some friends from Seattle on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, were really cheering me on when the movie came out and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's one of the nice things is how so social media kind of like when Easter Sunday was coming out, I'm friends with Joey, I'm friends with Eugene, and of course everybody follows Joe, sorry. So when the movie was coming out and like we see these little Instagram posts that these guys are posting, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What are you guys doing? And it just says Easter Sunday. We don't really know what the Easter Sunday part is going on yet. We don't know if it's a movie, what it is. And then when did you audition for the movie, or did you get picked?
Oh, I mean, I auditioned and then I got picked from the audition, but I auditioned via self-tape.
Yeah.
In the age of COVID,
Yeah,
self-tapes auditions, were, huge. So I just submitted a self-tape. My manager saw the breakdown and she said, I want to submit you for this. And at first I thought, oh, maybe I should audition for the sister because she's American and, and I'm American. I don't know how much Tagalog they want the titas to speak.
Yeah.
So I was a little hesitant to audition for the Tita Yvonne, but then when I actually saw the material, I was like, I saw her stuff and I was like, oh no, I want to audition for Tita Yvonne.
That's me. You're like, that's
I was
me.
like, oh, I know who that is. I immediately was like, oh, I know who that Tita is.
Yeah.
Let me play with that one too. So it's like I actually submitted 2 audition tapes, one for the sister and then one for Regina and then one for Tita Yvonne. And then I got Tita Yvonne.
Nice.
So I'm glad that I asked.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
cool.
that I
And you were
asked
paired
it.
up with Joey Gilla, who was Tito Manny in that episode, in that movie. Might as well start asking the questions. How was it? How was it being on a mostly majority Filipino cast? You being a Filipino actress, being able to portray our people, our heritage. How was that for you?
It was incredible. Obviously we know that we have, different experiences as Filipino Americans growing up. People are going to have different experiences and different backgrounds. And yet, once we got there, it just felt like coming home. We started joking around with each other. We started talking about the things that we recognized. And before we even started shooting as a family, we actually had a day where we did a whole photo shoot for all the pictures that you see around the house. So we had to do family photo day, and we turned up the music, we sang, we danced, we took our pictures, but it gave us a to really spend time with each other and get to know each other. And everyone was so kind and generous, and it just felt like we had a shorthand when it came to just connecting and communicating, and it helped to just create the chemistry that we have as a family.
No, it was a nice chemistry. It was a cool chemistry, and when we watched it, of course, we watched it opening day when it first came out, and just being able to just see the things, and a lot of Filipino families, especially the young Filipino kids right now, they don't realize what it was. Like Easter Sunday to me was like growing up in my aunt's house. I mean, it was exactly what it was. You got the Santo Niño right there. It's like that part right there. I mean, that's like, you can't have a Filipino movie without throwing a Santo Niño in there.
I mean, the whole altar. I mean, we had an altar in the chimney. Like the first day we walked onto the family house set, I was just like, oh my gosh, this place feels so Filipino. Yeah. It's just all the little touches, the little details, the icons. I remember even just recently going home to visit my own family and having like all the Virgin Mary, all the, the whole altar in the living room. And I was like, well, there you go.
What can we do?
It's what we relate to. But yeah, it what I love also about the family is you see it's multi-generational. Yeah. You see it's people from people who came from the Philippines, people who have been there for many years, people who were born here who don't have an accent, and then people who are even mixed race, who are trying to figure out their Filipino-ness.
Yeah.
All of that is encompassed within the family.
Yeah.
And I really was grateful for that, to see that.
It was cool. I loved your role in there. I mean, you and again, Joey was perfect, the perfect combination together. You also got to work with, two big stars, with Tia Carrera being one of them and Lou Diamond Phillips being the other. How was that for you, like being able to work with these two? That's, to me, I feel like they're icons when it comes.
Iconic, absolutely. Yeah. I was initially I was a little nervous, to meet Tia for the first time, but as soon as we started chatting, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's the kindest, just most supportive, generous, like sweet person. Yeah. She really is, for someone who has had such a storied career. She's not wrapped up in ego. She really is, looking out for everyone else. And then Lou, who also has, like, both of them have such long careers, but are, primarily known for playing characters other than Filipino. Yeah. So Lou Diamond Phillips has Stand and Deliver, and he has Bamba, and then and then I think it wasn't even until I heard he was doing The King and I many years ago, which he did with Lydia, who plays Joe's mom. That I was like, that I realized, he's Filipino, he's Asian, So they just both had incredible stories, stories about their careers and their experiences coming up and the opportunities that they had. But both like just kind and generous and incredible people. Yeah.
Did you, I always hear like a lot of actors when they have these big name actors or actresses on there, they try to pick their brain, like, hey, what can I do better? Or is there anything, did you do anything of that with them?
We did talk a little bit about kind of experiences and things. And I remember Tia just saying, every interaction you have with someone, you have an opportunity to make their day better or make their day worse.
Yeah.
And she's like, I always try to choose to make someone's day better, whether it's just being kind, being connected, being present, and she's like, because people remember that. They remember how you make them feel. And no matter what size role or how quote unquote important someone is, it's just know that every interaction you have, you can affect their day, and keep that in mind. And that's kind of just how she, navigates. And so I remember that stuck with me. Yeah.
Nice. I want to apologize. I'm getting a lot of people sending me messages. I guess my audio is cracking here. I'm using Google Chrome. I usually use Safari, and Safari works a lot better for me, but Safari, for some reason, with this new update, was messing up. But so I apologize for you guys who are listening. I record the audio separate, so when the podcast comes out, you guys can catch the podcast with no cracking. But again, I apologize for that. If you guys are watching. No, that's cool. I love that. I love the story, and I love just the whole concept of the whole family situation. And every Filipino family has a situation in the movie like the Easter Sunday. We always have the mom, and then we have the tita that always has to outdo whatever the mom's doing. And we all related to that. We all were like, there's always that one person. And it doesn't have to be a Filipino family. It could be any family that always just has to one up the sister. And it's like, and it's just funny when we see that and we're like, wow, they're actually doing what we lived growing up. That's exactly what life was sometimes in our family.
Yeah, the drama is real.
Yeah. Now you guys filmed in Canada, right? And it was portrayed in Daly City, but with the filming rights, you guys had to go to Canada. How was that for you guys filming in Canada? I mean, time difference, the weather was definitely different.
We shot in Vancouver, so for those of us on the West Coast, there wasn't much of a time difference. it was still the same. There wasn't any at all.
Yeah.
It was still the West Coast Pacific time. As far as just being there, the production chose to shoot in Vancouver just because of the COVID restrictions and what they were able to do production wise, and we still, even though there were productions happening in Canada, the COVID protocols were very, very strict at the time. So we shot it in May and June, I believe, of 2021. So people in the U.S. were just starting to get their vaccines, the vaccinations, but the rollout in Canada was a bit slower.
Yeah.
So they were still under very strict protocols. So when I arrived, we all had to quarantine for 2 weeks prior to shooting, and then the entire cast lived in the same apartment building.
Yeah.
And then on the same floor. So it was like very restricted. People from outside were not allowed to come up unless they were delivering,
Wow.
but we weren't allowed to have like outside visitors or
Yeah.
anything like that. They were very strict as to, how protected, like our protection on set. All of our chairs were separated. We all had like masks
Yeah.
and shields for everything up until we shot. And, and I think also part of, because like with big Filipino parties, you would expect maybe 20, 30
Yeah.
people. But I think even just because of the COVID protocols, it's like they had to be really selective of when we had extras and things like that on set. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that is a difficult part when you're trying to film anything. It's like, and I did catch that there wasn't that many extras when you were doing a lot of the indoor scenes. The outdoor scenes, yeah, there was extras there because it's safer outdoors.
Yeah.
How difficult for you as an actress? How difficult is it? We went through this whole COVID restriction. We all had to quarantine one way or the other. We all had to get our injections or vaccines. How difficult was it for you? Like, okay, auditioning has to be via Zoom now. I have to send a self-tape. Was that was that a setback for you when COVID hit?
I mean, it has its advantages and its drawbacks. I mean, the advantages with the self-tape era is, we have a lot more control of what of what we do. It can make people go a little stir crazy because they're wanting to do 12 takes, and so I really try to limit myself and try to be as prepared as I can when we start the self-tape.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said about the energy in the room and seeing other actors and that kind of sense of community that's lost. I don't miss the driving all across town for 1.5 minutes in the room. I don't miss that. There are certainly kind of ups and downs, but I mean, I feel like I've adapted to the self-tape medium as far as auditioning and things. I have my routine down.
Nice.
So that's been good. Yeah.
But this is a good thing too, right? Because now agencies or even production companies, it's easier for them now. Like, okay, just let's go meet via Zoom, and if we like you, we can bring you in for an in-person audition. I mean, I guess COVID had a positive when it came to that, because I would think instead of, like you just said, driving across town for 40 minutes for a 2-minute audition, it's a lot easier for a group to just say, let's go meet via Zoom. If we like you, then we'll get you out here. I mean, to me, it seems like it's a fair deal, or it was a good positive. That's one of the positives.
Yeah, I mean, and I've also talked to other actors who feel like, because the casting directors aren't auditioning in a day or a couple of days, they're accepting self tapes. They can accept, like, way more self-tapes than they would ever fit into a room, which could be good for them, but also tough because it feels like then the pool is a lot larger, or that kind of thing. So there's a lot of kind of debate, can be a bit of debate about it. But I try to hang on to the positive aspects of it, and try to sometimes it's tough because then the onus is on the actor to, if someone's single, if they live alone, then they got to find a reader. They got to, have their self-tape set up. They have to, I remember when self-tapes just started coming out and they would just give you sheet music and you're supposed to find, like for musicals, you're supposed to find someone to play. Now a lot of musical theater auditions will give you tracks and stuff like that. But, so there's a learning curve to it. But it can be tough. It can be a lot of like wrangling and scrambling and saying, hey, can you read with me? And put someone on an iPad so they can read with you.
Yeah, you have that other person there.
Yeah, and it's like, and sometimes the turnarounds are really fast. So it just, it depends. I know that, casting directors have their own, timetables and pressures and things that they're trying to get done within a certain amount of time. And, there's no point in asking people for self-tapes if they don't intend to see it. They want to see it. But it's a lot, and things change on a dime, and they're trying to roll with the punches just as we are. So, I try to have some grace for it, but sometimes you just have to either do it and just take the pressure off of yourself and go, look, if I have a very short amount of time to prepare it, like I'm going to hold my sides in my hands, or this is a process. You're going to see me in my process. and just trust that, that's part of what we do, and that they understand that. Like if they give someone a really fast turnaround time, that they understand that too.
You're also a singer. You can sing.
They do.
Yeah, we didn't see that on Easter Sunday. I mean, besides the whole family singing together, the karaoke
There's
scene.
like one little chunk where I'm setting up the magic mic, and I literally get to sing one line with Eva Noblezada, Tony nominee, like multiple Tony nominee. So I will take that. But yes, it's not a musical, and I'm not singing a whole song or anything. But it's, what's funny was that line was written just as me saying, "Oh, do you know Islands in the Stream?" Oh, I love that song. And then as we were doing it, I just decided to sing the line, and everyone else, like everyone in the room, finished the phrase.
Nice.
And Joe was like, we have to put that in. And our director Jay was like, Joe, we don't have the rights to that song. And he was like, I don't care, I want that song in there. So we actually did a couple takes. We did a take where we did a Bruno Mars song, which we did have the rights to. So we had like a couple of different takes of it, but I was really happy that they kept the Islands in the Stream, and that they got the rights for it, even just that little phrase.
No, it was. I think even us in the movie theater was singing with you guys when you guys were singing together. I mean, I when I was there when we watched it, I mean, it was, majority of the people that were there was Filipino, and I swear to God, I people had baon and they had food. We hear them crunching in the background. I mean, you can't get mad at them. Lola was taking out, whatever, and like eat this kind of thing. It's like it felt like a big party watching a movie, and I was like,
good.
"Wow, this is cool."
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, and it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, usually when I'm at a movie theater, I want everything to be quiet. I don't want nobody talking, but this was like, okay, it's a Filipino party. We're gonna go watch Easter Sunday, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a fun thing.
Celebration. Oh, I love that.
How was it working with Joe Coy?
I mean, good Lord. He is the kindest, most generous. He really, when I think about it, and I think about the opportunity he was given to make this movie, he could have picked anything. He could have said, I want to do like a buddy comedy, or I want to do something about me and my life and just me and but he really wanted to feature his family. He really wanted to feature his community and his story. And you felt that. You felt that passion and his drive and how important it was to him that we're able to introduce a big, boisterous, loving, complicated Filipino family to the audiences around the world. And he, for someone who is so hilarious, he also wears his heart on his sleeve, and he would get really emotional talking about it and just thanking people for being there. This was his first time leading a movie. And so there was a lot of pressure on him, but he worked so hard and was always so present and was always willing to just go the extra mile to get what needed to be done.
Yes.
And he was so fun and funny, and everyone came from such different backgrounds. There were people with stand-up backgrounds. There were people with sketch and improv, and then people whose the majority of their careers in the theater, like me and Lydia Gaston. And people who've never done theater before. So it was like people had so many different kind of experiences, but we all kind of came to the table and just wanted to like make each other laugh and support each other. And even if we weren't on camera, we were like right there, lending our support for when they were doing the other coverage and stuff like that. And he was, just wanted everyone to have a wonderful time, an amazing time. There wasn't, for all, like you mentioned, the icons and the legends involved in the film, there was not a lot of ego, wrapped up. People weren't like, oh, that's my joke, or, oh, this person's getting too big of a laugh, or, there wasn't any of that. It was all just like, how can we lift each other up and support each other? And you see that. And I don't know if you had a chance to see his new special, which is out on Netflix now. But he talks about how important it is that his mom gets a voice. That people who may have a different experience, may come from a different country, but are here and living and thriving, that they deserve to see themselves, that they deserve to have their voice heard, and that's important. And that was really, really important to him. And you could just feel that from day one all the way to the very end.
I mean, what I love about the movie, and taken away from the movie and just giving my amateur critique about the movie, is Joe was the main character in the movie, but he shared everything else with everyone else. Everyone had a part that at the end of the movie, we forgot that it was a Joe Coy movie because we were so involved with everybody else's lives in the storyline. Eugene Cordero, his character in the movie, Eugene, it was kind of like I was more involved in his role and his character than I was in Joe's character because of what was going on in the movie. So it did feel more like it was a family bond movie than it was a Joe Coy movie, even though Joe Coy was the front man and he was the guy that, that everybody came to watch. I mean, we got to know, Melody in this show. Cause it's like, I knew Melody, maybe like again, Call Me Kat and all that and the shows that you were in. But when you came out here, I was like, oh, okay, this is more of your role. This is more of who you are. And you got to play a Filipino character. And that's, rare in this day and age right now where we got to play who we are. And that's, to me, that's, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I told Joey Gillen when I had him on the show, it's like one day I want to watch a show or a movie where it's going to be an all Filipino cast, like a Filipino director, Filipino producer, even the person giving us the food is Filipino. And, this is the closest thing to it right now. And, I'll take it because, the Filipinos, we're coming up. We're slowly coming up and that's a good thing. And for you to be a part of this big show, to me, it's kind of like, it's one of those wow moments for me.
Yeah. And that, I mean, certainly there are other films with Filipino cast, Filipino creatives,
Yeah.
like you just had the Fabulous Filipino
Yeah.
Brothers, you have Lumpia with a Vengeance coming
Yeah.
out. So there are so many, independent films and storytellers who are putting themselves out there. And we just want to continue.
Yeah.
We don't want Easter Sunday to be the be all and end all of Filipino movies,
Yeah.
because everyone's going to have a different experience. They're going to relate to it in a different way. Maybe they won't relate to it, their experience. Maybe they'll watch it and go, oh, Easter wasn't that big a deal with my family. That's okay. Then you could tell another story.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, we want other perspectives. We want other stories to be told. And we want this to just be, a stepping stone, so while there have been Yellow Rose and other like incredible independent films that have been championed, like this is the first studio backed film, that this is the first Hollywood studio backed film
Yeah.
featuring a Filipino American family,
Yeah.
of so many different experiences and backgrounds, means so much to me.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to put forward. Is it perfect? It doesn't have to be, because art isn't work like that, but we want it to be the beginning of a conversation. We want people to keep asking for it, to keep, demanding that kind of work.
Yeah.
We want audiences to keep saying like this, we want to see more of this.
Yeah.
So
I want to see more of it. I mean, I was going to ask you, do you know anything about an Easter Sunday too? Maybe we call it, Thanksgiving.
I know nothing.
All right, I understand. I know the rules. I can't bug you with all those secret questions. What's your advice when it comes to inspiring actors and actresses? If they're trying to reach their goal, or their foot's in the door, but they just need that little encouragement? What's your advice for them?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I would say if you believe, like, you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else believes in you. Yeah. Oftentimes in this industry, we're looking for other people's approval. We're looking for other people to tell us we're good by casting us, by the callbacks, by this or that, even by the reviews, things like that, like for people to tell us that we're worth it and we're in the right place. But it's like, you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust in and fight for your voice to be heard, because there's no one else like you, and it's like, you can't try to be like other people. You can't compare your journey to other people's journeys. Even if someone looks a lot like me, is also Filipino, and has this whole other career, they're a completely different person. It doesn't matter what type they are. It doesn't matter. Everyone's journey is going to be different. And if you're focusing on comparing yourself to other people, you're just going to judge yourself and go, well, I haven't accomplished that yet, or I haven't done that yet, or I haven't done that by this time. And it just robs you of all the joy of why you went into it in the first place. So my advice, my suggestion, and the things that I'm saying, because I need to remind myself from time to time, is to, you have to believe in yourself more than anyone else believes in you, and then and not compare your journey, because you're doing it because you love it. You're doing it because you have something to say. You're doing it because you have something to share.
That's a very spiritual, strong advice that hopefully these kids, or who's watching, who's trying to get into acting, hears it. I mean, I heard it. I mean, I told you, I'm trying to get my foot in the door, trying to get into the little acting thing.
And you're doing.
I'm trying to get in there. It was great seeing you guys. I mean, again, you made me believe, and I'm pretty sure there's everybody else who watched it, you made us believe that you were one strong knit family. The way you guys pulled together as a family, the writers, to me, they knocked it out of the park with the writing, the storyline behind it, and just the family bond that this Filipino family had was what most Filipino families have. And, I to me, is the show. I can't wait to, for it to come on cable so I can rewatch it again. And, nitpick the little things that I missed in the theater because, Lola was too busy crunching on the other end over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think any family can relate to it, but what's incredible in watching it and just watching, my fellow actors on the screen is like, there's a line that Eugene has where he says, family is mad complicated. Boy, howdy. It really is, because you have, especially being the children of immigrants.
Yeah.
The sacrifices that they made. I brought to Canada pictures of my family, pictures of my grandparents, of my Filipino grandparents in like puffy jackets and, in the snow, like going, we are Filipino, we have no business being in this snow. But just as a reminder of like how far my family had come to start a new life for us and to give us new opportunities. And so being the children of immigrants, you feel even an extra pressure.
Yeah.
It seems like such a privileged thing to have parents that are just like, go and fly and be whatever you want to be and follow your dreams, because it's not always the case with immigrant families, because they have fled another life to create another one for you, and they just want to make sure you're okay. They want to make sure you have those benefits. They want to make sure that you're stable, that you're doing something that makes you happy, but also puts food on the table and keeps a roof over your head, and will be able to take care of us when we're when we're older. All of those things. And it's a lot of pressure, but when I think about how complicated that the family in Easter Sunday is, it's like how hard his mom worked to make sure that he was okay and that could keep up with the other kids, and how there was just like a disconnect, where she's seeing him like run around where he's just trying to like be the best dad that he can be, where he's trying to get a job, all of these things. So it's like you have your parents' dreams, you have your own dreams, you have the expectations, and coming home to your family, even after being away for so many years, there are so many ways you revert back to that kid that you were growing up, those roles that you had, like the favorite, who is not, and all of that. And all of that it's in there, and you see that, and you see those complications, and you see the people, even in little moments, just trying to like assert themselves and figure out who they are within all of the expectations of the family.
Speaking of family, I told him I'd do it, and I told him I'd do it while you're on with me. It's my Uncle Nick's birthday today. He doesn't want to tell me.
Nate?
He doesn't want me to tell him how old he is, but happy birthday, Uncle Nick. We're going to celebrate.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Uncle Nate. Happy birthday to you.
Wow. You just got serenaded. Not even ask her to do it. I'm so jealous now. I'm going to call you back in July.
July what?
July 23rd.
July 7.
Oh, okay. So you're a Cancer. I'm Cancer Leo. Cancer. I'm in the border of Cancer Leo. So, I'm the sometimes if I feel brave, that's the Leo in me. But if I feel like, whatever, that's the Cancer in me.
Yeah.
I'll let you handle that. What's next for you? What's the next project for you?
I'm actually shooting something this weekend. It's more of a PSA to help enfranchise Filipino voters and encourage the Filipino community to vote. So I'm working on that this weekend, and then I will be flying to New York in a couple of weeks for a developing new musical, which I probably should not say anything about, but it's very exciting, and I'm really excited to be there. I'm only going to be there for a few days, but I'm excited because I'll be in a room with literal legends. So yeah,
I got offered a flight to New York for this weekend to play a little small extra role that I said I can't do because you didn't give me enough notice. You know, I work a 9 to 5, so I can't just say, yeah, I'm leaving. But they're working it out to maybe next weekend I'll be flying out to New York just for the weekend, just to shoot this role. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see each other there. Maybe we'll have a slice of pizza when we're there.
I know, right? I mean, it's like I'm going to be there like the 23rd to the 27th. And then my project is the 25th, 26th. So I have like one day to run around the city.
I don't even think I have a day. I think as soon as I land, I'm going straight. We're shooting, and then I'm coming back. I think that's how it's set up. But speaking of food, before we go, exactly. What's your Filipino comfort food? When you're feeling down and you just want to indulge on our food, what's your Filipino comfort food? What do you like to eat?
I mean, I love me some lumpia.
Okay.
I love me some lumpia Shanghai. I know it's very typical, but I do. As far as and I make adobo at home a lot. But as far as like when I'm going home or going to like a party or, a big Filipino party, like I look out for the kare-kare.
Oh God.
Because I don't make it myself, but I'll look out for that.
My dad, if you were watching, you need to, respond to that. My dad, to me, of course, is my dad. Of course, I have to say this, but he makes the best kare-kare. And it's one of those where he'll tell me, sometimes he won't even tell me that he has it. I'll just come over and it's like, oh, what are you making? Nothing. Like, Dad, I smell oxtail. I smell bagong. So don't tell me you're not making kare-kare.
Good stuff.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Melody, I want to thank you again for jumping on. Thank you for taking the time. It's Melody Butiu.
Yes.
Butiu. See, I'm thinking of what you told me. Butiu across the room. So Melody Butiu. There you go. So I'm going to take that with me. Thank you for jumping on. And again, thank you for sharing your story with us here. And I always tell everybody, if you're ever want to jump back on, definitely jump back on. Talk about your future project. Talk about anything moving forward. You're definitely invited to come back on the show moving forward. I again wish you nothing but great success. Keep doing what you're doing. Make everybody proud that's there. Your family's proud of you. The Filipino community is proud of you, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melody Butiu, guys. Here with me. Follow her on Instagram. Again, she has an Instagram account. This is her Instagram account right here. Her stories are cool, and also her website right here. Follow her here. Cool story to read when you watch it. Just go ahead and follow her there. But Melody, thank you again. Safe travels to New York, and we will definitely chat soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
That was Melody Butiu, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for jumping on. Again, I apologize for the audio. I will definitely fix that moving forward. I'm using Google Chrome. I'm not going to use that anymore. I'll go switch back to the Safari. But the audio is separate, so if you guys are going to watch it or listen to this on the podcast, you'll be able to listen to it on the podcast moving forward. But until next time, thank you guys for watching, guys. Thank you guys for always jumping on. The live stream has ended, guys. Go in peace.
Thanks for listening to the Daily Podcast with Eric B.